Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd, and this is my review of episode 5 of season 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks called Empathological Fallacies. And it wasn't an amazing episode, but not bad either, and I liked how it focused on Talin, the new Vulcan character. I think one of the best episodes of this whole show was that episode when it showed the lower decks on different ships, and one of them was a Vulcan ship, and then we first saw this character and she was too emotional for the other Vulcans, even though to us she's still like a Vulcan, but wasn't robotic enough for the other Vulcans, and so they kind of banished her, and that's why she's now in Starfleet. And I really liked her in that episode, but ever since then, she was a very minor background character with only one or two lines once in a while. And so finally, this episode gives her more focus, like she's the main character in this episode, so that's something I liked. And they are escorting three Betazoid delegates from the planet Angel 1 back to Betazed, and they're kind of like a parody of Loxana Troy, behaving the same kind of way that she did in her first appearances in TNG, in which she was always looking for a mate, and she loved parties and loved dressing up in beautiful dresses and that kind of thing. So they're being the same way, even though later in the episode it's discovered they're actually undercover, they're actually part of the Betazoid intelligence, and they're like Charlie's Angels and stuff like that. So that was a nice twist, especially since early on I was thinking, since when are all Betazoid women exactly like Loxana Troy? So that was a little bit strange, and the twist kind of fixed that not all Betazoid women are exactly like Loxana Troy, and so it was kind of a parody of those early TNG episodes. One of them kind of comes on to Jack, and he immediately accepts the offer, and then she doesn't want him because she wants men who are hard to get. And so that reminded me of how Loxana really wanted Picard, who did not want her, and tried to get away from her, but that only made her chase him more, and so that was kind of funny. And as they're parting on the ship, suddenly the entire crew are starting to behave strangely, and that immediately reminded me of the TNG episode Sarek, in which Sarek had some brain disease which causes his emotions to infect the rest of the crew, and then they had the outbursts of anger and stuff like that. And there was also a Deep Space Nine episode in which Loxana visited the station and also had a similar illness, and she was causing everyone to get horny and hook up with each other and stuff like that. So it immediately reminded me of both of those episodes. And I loved how the characters themselves also recognized that. They immediately suspected it must be because of these Betazoid women, and so they take them to sickbay to test them for that disease, which Loxana had in Deep Space Nine, and then it turns out they do not have it. And whatever is affecting the crew is also affecting them. And then they break their cover, and then they turn into kind of Charlie's Angels and try to take over the ship. And in the end, it turns out it was actually Talin who was the cause, same as Sarek was, even though I think in TNG they said only old Vulcans get it, and she's not really that old, even though she says she's 62 years old. And didn't they say it's an incurable disease in TNG since Sarek eventually died from it, and so how come she's totally fine by the end of the episode? So it wasn't exactly the disease that caused it, it was just her inner problems that caused it to manifest or something. So there wasn't really a proper explanation, so that's a small nitpick. And also, when the whole crew started acting crazy, it wasn't really that noticeable because they're always acting crazy in this show, and so you don't even get that something is affecting them until it's stated in the dialogue, because they constantly do stuff like that in all the episodes, and so it wasn't something so out of place. And when the Betazoid women took over the ship, they also tried to take it into the neutral zone for some reason, and then they stopped them in the last possible moment before they crossed the border, and then a Romulan ship decloaks, and the crew on board kind of are disappointed that nothing happened in the end. They were waiting for that moment their whole life to catch a Starfleet ship crossing the zone, and so they were kind of really disappointed, so that was funny. And also, they said they didn't enter the neutral zone yet, and yet the Romulan ship decloaked right on the other side of those glowing red lights, which I guess is the border. So what was the Romulan ship doing there? If the neutral zone is supposed to be a zone that neither side can enter, so the Romulan ship was also in a violation if they were in the neutral zone. So that's a small continuity issue, I guess. But it was kind of funny how disappointed the Romulans were that nothing happened. That was also kind of a parody at TNG when they had a few episodes like that. And there was also a small subplot of Boimler joining the security team for their training, but then it turns out all they do is read poetry and tell tales about Worf and Malcolm Reed and all the famous security officers from the previous shows, and they just play games and do all kinds of silly stuff. And Boimler is disappointed because he thought he's going to see some action of training to be a security officer. and instead they just do silly stuff, and so that was kind of funny. And I didn't like how easily it all wrapped up. Like, Mariner just has a small chat with Talene, and that helps her resolve her inner emotional issues. And then she stops subconsciously projecting her emotions to the rest of the crew, and then the problem stops. So there was no actual disease, there was nothing affecting her, and it was just her emotional problems causing it. And after she has a small chat with Mariner, that immediately gets fixed. And so that was a little bit too easy, and so it doesn't really make sense. If Vulcans are so dangerous, then the Starfleet shouldn't really allow them to serve on their ships. Maybe they should have separate ships if they're so telepathically dangerous to entire ships they're on, then maybe they shouldn't serve on the same ships. Which might actually explain those times we heard that there are all Vulcan ships where the entire crew are Vulcans. Maybe it makes sense if they are so dangerous to non-Vulcans. And there was a mention of that small ship which is attacking many other ships in the quadrant, and we still don't really know anything about it, and so they've been kind of teasing it too long in my opinion. They better do something with it sooner and not just in the last episode of the season, because this is getting annoying of how long they drag it out without actually revealing any information. It's kind of too much of an exposition. I wish they just do something with it already. My personal hunch is it's going to be some kind of ship from the future. At least I hope that's the case, because it seems to be the most interesting thing they can do with it, in my opinion. So that's all I really have to say about it. Let me know what you think, and we can discuss all of this in the comments below. And I will see you all next time. Bye bye.